Hello. Right, hopefully this works. Yeah, I'm gonna try and do it justice. But I've not set my stream up for broadcasting, so in terms of like getting replays and stuff, I'm gonna struggle. But we'll see. We'll see how we get on, won't we? Yeah. Who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen with this one? I'm just covering. I'll hide myself actually. So yeah, I'm just covering the split one, guys. There is only currently, well, there's only 6 of them here. So if you're here for back-to-back white knuckle multi-car grids, I'm afraid this probably isn't going to be the race for you. I'll just do a volume check, make sure you can hear me. Yeah, I sound okay, but if you do find your way in the chat through some pure and utter miracle, do let me know if the volume is acceptable. So let me just get my screens prepared. I'll get the chat over there, and I have my broadcasting control here. Right, so we should be good to go. So you've not really missed anything. The drivers are out qualifying at the moment. We're watching Fengler, who I think is going to be the first one to set a time. We have a 15-minute qualifying session. I said Fengler's going to be the first one to set a time. He's not, because he's just invalidated by what can only be described as breaching track limits. We'll take you on a lap of Suzuka shortly. We'll just wait for someone to come around that's about to set a hot lap, and then we'll be able to sort of review things, see how it's going. As you can see, it's a bit damp. It could dry up during the race. These season finale races do tend to be changeable conditions, so drivers will have to be prepared for any eventuality. And at Suzuka, having your tyres in the right window is pretty damn important. But let's just flick over to Peterson, if I can do it. There we go. Let's actually go for, what shall we have? There we go, lap of Suzuka then. So, as you can see, grip here is at a premium. Especially coming through the S's, where we are at the moment. The car's balance basically is just constantly trying to get away from you, and finding the right line to take the corner. In the dry, you're wanting to take a lot of these curbs, and you just really can't do that as much, especially in the Aston, which it doesn't really seem at all like he's got his tyres in the right window. Peterson really struggling to find the optimal grip level here. Coming down then into the Degners, you really can take that curb, but you just got to be careful how it upsets the car. You should be able to clip that curb there in the middle. You can really be all over these in the dry, like a fat kid on a cupcake, and it really won't hurt. Down into turn 11, then the hairpin heavy on the brakes. If we're going to see overtakes tonight, and we might struggle because there's only 6 of them, but if we do see overtakes, that'll probably happen a lot down there. Then you are full pedal to the floor, then all the way into Spoon Curve. All the way treated as one. You want to be looking out for a little asphalt on the right hand side. That's your braking marker. Try and carry the speed through the first part, because the second part is the important part, really just to get the car swung in on the power as early as possible, then back onto the back straight, down to the infamous 130R, one of the most famous corners in racing. Do expect to see carnies down here, ladies and gents, because if there's going to be accidents, it's either turn 1 or here. Peterson taking it very carefully, then not wanting to upset the balance of the car at all. Down into Casio Triangle, then you can again, because you're going such a slow speed, you can really hammer the curbs here. It's not really going to be an issue. You just have to be careful of the exit, because you're trying to get your power down and the car balance just wants to swing out. Peterson going to set us a lap time then. Sorry, now going to start his first lap, I think. Or is this a time? No, it is a time. It's a 2:09.3 for Peterson. And let me just... God, I'm rusty on the broadcast controls, ladies and gents, at the moment. Your best time is set by this man, Mr. Horman. He's got a 2:08.7 on the board. Peterson, who we've just been on board with a 2:09.3. Then Spitzer a 2:10.9 and Smith a 2:11.7. Fengler and Correa yet to set times. So in the field, got 2 Ferraris, Aston Martin, 2 Lamborghinis and a lone Mercedes. Mercedes of Korea, who is plain silver on my screen, and it's probably because I haven't synced my awesome. I haven't had the opportunity to. So if he's updated his livery for this final race, I won't be able to see it. Same for Peter. Oh no, Peterson's is actually there. I thought it was a basic one. So what to expect then? So we've got a 90-minute race ahead of us, hour and a half. It would be absolutely fantastic if we had. Yeah, like I say, it would be absolutely fantastic if we had the drivers in the field to do much about it. To really influence the racing, but alas, we haven't, so we have to work with the tools that we've got. Fengler finally sets time. Fengler gets on the board then with a 2:09.1. Lovely little time there by Christian. All drivers now having set a valid time, so the order you see on your screen, and I should be able to do this. 1 minute. Yeah, there we go. So I can give you that. That shows you the gaps. It's coming back to me slowly, ladies and gents. It's coming back to me. We are halfway over this qualifying session now, so yeah, it's going to be a learning curve for us both. And in fairness, it's not going to be the most chaotic of all races. I just hope that we manage to avoid any lap 1 carnage, and all drivers survive to have a bit of a fight. As Spengler there discovers that braking on a painted surface doesn't really help the grip levels and gets the car upset into the Degnas, and that is that lap. Absolutely ruined, unfortunately. The car behind is another Lamborghini, that belonging to Spitzer, whose lap was negative until the entry to the hairpin, and he made up a 10th. So at the moment, no drivers improving the time. 6 minutes remaining. Of course, a lot of it in these wet conditions, you really just need to work on getting those tyres in an optimum window. The good thing about the wets is they get into that window pretty fast. They're just not the quickest overall tyre, so I don't think we'll see much faster than the pole time currently set by Horman, a 2:08.3. Fengler is a good 8 tenths off that, so a lot of the regulars that would be up there challenging Horman, such as your Souzas, not able to race tonight for one reason or another. It is Easter Sunday, so a lot of drivers have other commitments. I was one of them. I do race in this division, but I've literally just got home. I've had no practice all week because of work commitments, so I decided it best me not race tonight and just cover comms, as Dennis not able to cover it tonight. We do have a couple of drivers improving. Spitzer was one of them, did make a lot of time up. He might not do enough to jump above Peterson, but he should improve his time. A driver on the improvement train though is Smith. He's only just coming towards the end of sector 1 now, but half a second up on his time. If he keeps going the way he's going, he might be doing enough to get him well into the second row of the grid there. He lost a little bit of time on the entry to the Degnas. If we just ride on board with him, we'll go for this view. Braking into the hairpin, absolutely critical then. You can hear him just feathering the throttle, just trying to get the car balanced correctly on the entry, and he makes up a lot of time on the exit there, makes up a 10th, but he's starting to lose it as we come out of Spoon, so come out towards Spoon, sorry, so he's back down to his half a second up. It's still good. Spoon, the key corner then, especially in these wet conditions. Light on the brakes, you really don't want all that weight going to the back of the car. Nice and controlled then by Glenn. Does drift a little bit wide then through Spoon, manages to gather it up mid-apex, but that is going to cost him a 10th or 2. He's still up on his Delta though, so this should be an improved lap then for Smith. As long as he's got 3 more corners to go, as long as he nails those, he'll be good to go. Quick change of the gears, brave on the curb, back on the power. Spot your braking marker for Casio Triangle, be brave. Hammer this curb then on the entry, you can really get all over that, and then all over this one here. Just be careful on the green asphalt there on the exit, and this is going to be an improved lap time for Smith. Will it be enough to leapfrog Peterson? It is, well, where is he? 5-6 tenths ahead of his current time. It should be enough to get him P3, and unfortunately it was invalid, so he invalidated that lap somewhere along the line, so unfortunately that one doesn't count. So all that excitement I was getting semi-erect just then, and all that excitement unfortunately has gone to no use. And Peterson then is the next driver that's looking to make headway. Also now coming down into Spoon Curve. Currently 3 temps up on his lap. Glenn Smith is also on another improved lap. We'll keep an eye on Glenn. That time was looking good, but he's going to have to pull something out now because Peterson is looking like he's going to improve himself. Might even do enough to get himself onto the front row of the grid here and leapfrog Fengler. That Lamborghini working well for Fengler at the moment. Nice braking there. Does lose a bit on the entry to the corner. Can he make it back up on the exit? Peterson, the Aston Martin, famously terrible in low gear, low torque situations, and does start losing a bit of time. So this isn't going to be enough for Peterson, I don't think, to get onto P2. But he is in. Yeah, he does have enough in the tank to go for another one if he wants. But I think he's going to give it up there. Spitzer also in the pits. Fengler is still out there. No drivers that are out on track are improving their lap times. There's only Fengler, Smith and Correa that are out there. With only 6 cars on the grid though, questions have to be asked as to just how seriously these drivers are taking quali. Yeah, questions are asked of that. If I'm in that driving seat, you see Fengler's just exploring different parts of Japan right now. And unfortunately for him, that's going to mean an invalid lap time. And yeah, there's only Correa that's currently on a valid lap, and that lap is half a second slower than the one he's already set. So Correa at the moment is looking to give himself a bit of work to do in the race. In this one, of course, strategy could play a role. With only 6 again, the more cars on the grid, the more interesting this all becomes, and with only 6 of them, it's not really going to be that fun. When you start to sort of see 12, 14 plus cars on the grid, then you really start to see cars packed in traffic, cars on different pace, cars on different strategies, and it gets really interesting once you start hitting your pit stops. Because of course the drivers at that point then are all trying to outsmart one another. When it comes to when they go into the pits and such. But with this, no such luck. Mr. Smith back out on the circuit in that Ferrari, the 2ID livery, and I absolutely love the livery of this car. And anyone that's watched Big Les show, is that Sean Bean on the front of his car? I'm assuming it is. Anyway, less about that. But yeah, it's a nice looking livery that by Mr. Smith, and he's currently on a valid lap by the looks of things, as Correa goes yellow. Looks like he's parking it up for quali. We'll keep an eye on Smith, as he's the only driver out on track that can really change his position. He's currently 1.5 seconds off the pole time. The time he's currently due to set doesn't look like he's going to be troubling Horman, but if he keeps up this pace, he could still leapfrog Peterson. You remember Peterson was on an improved lap and didn't manage to do anything with it. So that's the checkered flag down for qualifying. Only the current laps will count. You're not allowed to start a new lap now. So it's worth keeping an eye on those. Fengler is out and improving, but he's got a lot of work to do if he's going to get on top of Horman. Worth noting, by the way, the Aston Martin of Peterson set the purple sector in sector 2, which is the Titan twisty bit with the hairpin. So the Aston Martin really working well in that second sector. The Lamborghini and the Ferrari working really well in sectors 1 and 3, as Smith then really testing the grip levels of that Ferrari. Does manage to get it stopped in time, but I hasten to add that little error then coming out of 130R, just trying to push his luck a little bit and maximise his time, may have just cost him a shot at getting any higher. And for Smith, he might be able to get ahead of Spitzer here. Let's see what his time is. No, he's just short by a tenth to Smith, unfortunately, but he did give it a genuine go, and we know Smith is a driver that can deliver in a race situation, so we'll see what he's got to deliver in the 90 minutes that are due to come up, as Fengler, again exploring Japan, brings his qualifying session to a close. So your qualifying order is the Lamborghini of Horman on pole, Fengler in the Ferrari of Horman on pole, Fengler in P2, Peterson third, Spitzer fourth, Smith fifth, and Correa in LMP6. They're your 6 cars for this this race. Don't have anything really else to add because we only have 6 of them, and I'm sorry, ladies and gents, it's going to be a tad on the boring side, this one. I don't have much to say to you, but there we go. At least we're giving this a little bit of coverage for the final go. So any predictions for anyone that's watching in chat, feel free to type them in the box. I will be watching chat throughout this, so I will be able to interact with you. So if you fancy keeping me company, that'll be great. Because I am, I've got a feeling this one's probably going to be a little bit on the boring side. So we've got a little bit of a break now before the drivers go into the race. We'll have a formation lap where the drivers have the opportunity to warm their tyres up. And yeah, then we're going to 90 minutes at Suzuka. I'm just looking to see if I have any videos I can play. I don't think I do. There's nothing showing that I can do, so the drivers hopefully will start tuning in and have this on in the background and all that sort of stuff. So the viewers that I have might be the drivers themselves that just sometimes like to have the commentary on in their ears, and just so they have an awareness of what's going on around the track. As far as Suzuka goes then, one of the more technical circuits that the drivers can face, we did have originally, we did have Snetterton lined up for the final race. That idea was binned because the balance of performance, that is the invisible fourth that is meant to bring balance to the world and is usually a cause for racing drivers to argue amongst one another, wasn't set up for that circuit, so we weren't actually able to go and race there fairly. So in this one, if I just show you here on timetables, if you've got a really good resolution showing on your screen, you'll be able to see that the balance of performance is what's known as the handicap here. You might see some penalties start to pop up in a minute, and I'll explain those as we go if they appear. But Horman, you'll see, has 16 kilograms above his standards. Fengler's got 24. Peterson's Aston Martin actually loses a kilo. That can also be achieved by going to the toilet before the race. Spitzer, again in a Lamborghini, gains 24 kilos. The Ferrari of Smith also gains 16. And then the Mercedes of Correa gains 14 kilos. So what they're basically saying there is the Lamborghini is probably the quicker car here, so it gets the most ballast to weigh it back down again. So session's about to start in 45 seconds or so. It doesn't look like there's any penalties to be applied for this one, so that again will help a little bit when it comes to pit stops. So any penalties that would have been applied will come into effect when the drivers do a stop. They have 2 mandated stops they have to perform, and they can really do that however they want within the pit window. The only thing they have to do is change tyres. Sorry, no, add 1 litre of fuel during the stop. What you will notice as well is we have transitioned in time. We are now a day later from qualifying, and because of that the clouds have blown over here in Japan, and it is now a cloudy but dry day with a track temp quite a toasty 29 degrees, so the drivers will have that now to contend with as they do start to head out on their formation lap. I'm just going to try and set up the, how do I do this? I'll try and do the timing as we go. I think it's that button. I think we'll work that out as we go. So a little formation lap then. We don't have much to go off as far as we can see, but we'll have a look on board with Horman and look back at the cars that are driving along. So this is their opportunity then, as this is their formation stroke preparation lap. They have a basic delta to adhere to during this, but you'll see the drivers will space out and bunch back together and all sorts during this time, because as long as they're roughly there within about 30 seconds, they're okay. Drivers at this point will be weaving, they'll be probably trying to work a little bit of tyre temperature in there, although you'll probably notice them not doing that very hard with a track temp of 29 degrees. The track will be doing that itself, and so you probably won't see all that much as far as as far as having to heat the tyres up. But we'll just introduce you to the drivers as we're going round. So your poleman, Horman. Fantastic driver, lovely bloke as well, someone that helped me out last season quite a lot. So he's your pole sitter at the moment. Fengler, who is often the butt of people's jokes, he's the admin here at ERA, so the head honcho, and because of that he's subject to an awful lot of vitriol and abuse. Always in a friendly way, but you know you'll hear the term Didderfangs, and that is usually causing mass murder. Peterson, someone I raced with a lot last season. He was in a Lamborghini, I think, last season, and he's in an Aston Martin this time round. He's P3 as we line up here in Suzuka. Then it's Spitzer, another driver I've had a lot of experience in battling against. Very clean, very consistent. Can pretty much pump out the same lap time, lap after lap. Probably one of my most improved drivers is next is Glenn Smith. Over the last couple of seasons, this fella has come on and on and on in terms of pace, and now one of the quicker drivers in ARA. And then Correa, probably the least known driver to me as far as having raced against him. I think I've only raced against him a handful of times, but this is my opportunity to get to know him a little bit, I suppose. So going towards the end of this formation lap now. Hopefully we get an entertaining race ahead of us. And I guess we will see. So in a moment what you'll see is they'll line up as if they're going on to Noah's Ark. So 2 by 2. And they'll get a shout in their ear from the teams to do that. I think that is happening now because they are starting to form up. Yep, there we go. But they won't actually get underway until they're down the start-finish straight. So they'll be in this sort of formation now for a little while. The drivers basically have a delta to stick to, a position on track they have to stick to. If they go out of that, they get a drive-through penalty. So it's well in their interest to stay where they are meant to stay. But we are almost ready for the green flag to drop here in Japan for the 90 minutes of Suzuka. 6 drivers will battle it out. It's a guaranteed podium for at least half of the grid here. So a lot to fight for in Japan as we wait to get underway. We'll give you a shout when it gets going. It's about to drop the green flag. You won't see it on your screen unless you've got really good resolution. But we are ready to go here at Suzuka, and we are green. The clock starts ticking down, and it's Horman that's going to lead the way down into turn 1 for the first time of asking. It all looks nice and clean as we go through. Fengler is having a genuine pop at Horman there, but thinks better of it. Just trying to find the right angle to cover the start of this race. I think we'll stick with the helicopter for now, as I have to play race director as well. Smith might be struggling with tyre temperatures at the very start because his corner exits have left a lot to be desired, and Correa is all over him there. Peterson in the Aston Martin, that car typically starts quite slowly. Spitzer wasn't able to take advantage of that, and they are as they started then as we go through the first lap here at Suzuka. Fengler temporarily showing in P4, but I assure you that is just a timing glitch. That does happen through lap 1, as the timing system doesn't technically have a position for them yet, and they flick all over the place. It happens quite a bit. Smith, yeah, he's slow starting. Don't forget the drivers here might have different fuel loads, as we just ride on board with the Mercedes of Correa, who has a view of the entire field then. So with it being a 90-minute race, they can't make the entire race on the fuel they've got, so they are going to have to significantly refuel as they go through. Correa's really struggling for grip. The pit window's open already, so that's a very early pit window. They've got an hour and 26 to do 2 pit stops, so that really does benefit all of them, I guess. Let's go back to the helicopter and just make sure everyone gets through okay. They do. Spitzer there taking a lot of advantages with that entry curve to 130R. Almost spat that Lamborghini out sideways. Managed to gather it up there in the exit. And then you've just got to start wondering what the fuel levels these cars are on, what their strategy might be. We're going to keep an eye on then as Smith starts to have a genuine go at Spitzer in the background here. Spitzer will defend this one. And looks like, looks like he's successfully managed to defend off the interests of Smith. Smith though does go for the cutback, and he might have an opportunity here, but he's going to have to hang it around the outside and hope he gets the inside. He does. That's a lovely move there by Glenn Smith, who manages to weave his way past the Lamborghini of Martin Spitzer. Correa now coming for a little go at him as well. We did say Smith was going to be someone to keep an eye on, and he almost immediately got past Spitzer there. Spitzer might be really heavy on fuel, don't forget. You don't know what these drivers have set the cars up for. Also, if the drivers might expect rain, some will have probably gone with a bit more of a braver setup than others. Some may have gone a bit lower and stiffer than as Corey's internet just shit itself and transported him into Narnia. Yeah, some drivers might have gone for a bit of a brave setup. Some might have gone for a bit of a hybrid, so raise the ride height, put on load of downforce. You really don't know. Only the drivers know that then. As Correa looks to, Correa has transported himself to a different realm altogether and might have even disconnected from the race. His internet is, he's flicking all over the place. So I don't know what's happening with Correa. Turning our attentions back to the matter at hand then. Peterson was showing us really close then to Fengler, and he still is. Riding on board of the Aston Martin. It is Correa's internet that has absolutely died, but he's still showing us on the circuit. So I don't know what's happening with him. That could cause an issue then. His ping is higher than a smackhead with a lottery win at the minute, and unfortunately that might cause us some issues on track, because I can still see his little driver name just flying everywhere. So unfortunately for us, Correa. Oh, and he's having a go on. Oh, well, God knows what happened there. And if I was Martin Spitzer, I might be needing a new race suit right now, because at the moment the car in front is not a Toyota. The car in front is glitching all over the shop. So unfortunately, it's there 1 minute and gone the next. Passenger's the best view into it. That's the nicest one. So Spitzer conceding positions early. He's lost 2 positions, and the car in front is doing its best Doctor Who impression and just teleporting in and out of the picture constantly. But let's turn our attention back to the Aston Martin of Peterson, who is having a bit of a go now at Fengler. The Aston Martin being front wheel drive has very different driving characteristics to the car we're on board with. The car we're on board with having a very familiar mid-engine rear wheel drive layout. Meaning it's typically better in the corners, but shouldn't be as good as the Aston Martin on pure grunt and power. Correa again causing yellow flags, and again this is just going to cause us an issue for the race, I think. So even though we started with 6, we could very well be down to 5 cars very soon. Now the problem with that ping in e-racing is the car's still treated as a physical object, even if other drivers can't see it. So other drivers could very well crash into it, or it crash into them without it even knowing it exists. It's worth noting, Fengler's lasted 3 laps and his car's still pointing the right way, so he's got to be doing something right. That boy is on maximum focus mode right now. There's a Lamborghini. We'll just ride on board with him then and see if the Aston Martin down the straight manages to toe the line a little bit. The Aston is a torque monster. You can really see him, Peterson, actually there's not enough straight road for Peterson to take advantage of the Aston Martin straight line power. Circuits such as Mount Panorama or even Kyalami, that Aston Martin would run riot, but here at Suzuka, the Lamborghini's probably got enough in the tank to hold it behind if it really wants to. As for battles on track elsewhere, I'm afraid Horman has checked out, 1.3 seconds ahead of this little battle. He's doing a Max Verstappen. Smith is 2 seconds further back than these two, but again, it's probably worth keeping an eye on Smith. What I will do is just change my my view screen to see what the times are that they're doing. What I can tell you is Horman is doing 2:02.5s, these guys doing 2:02.8s, and Smith and everyone else is in the 2:03s or slower. So Fengler there on genuine pace right now. Peterson probably arguably a little bit faster. Whether that's down to getting the toe or maybe it's just a bad lap from Fengs, who knows. But what I will say is Peterson is the man on the move at the moment. Smith looks to have dropped away a little bit from this fight. But whether these two battling will start to bring Smith back into the fold. So this is Smith's view of this little fight. I'll jump on board with Peterson now. See, the Aston Martin just runs out. He's going to try and put Fengler off into the braking zone, but he's not going to go for the move. It's almost guaranteed suicide going for a move at 130R. I am yet to see a sim racing move that is successfully pulled off at 130R. Your best bet in 130R is probably doing what Peterson tried to do and just trying to put the other driver off, which was unsuccessful. So coming down into turn 1 then again, he's going to struggle. He's just going to try and get in Fengler's mirrors then and try and put him off. Fengler is a driver that probably can be intimidated into losing his concentration temporarily. That used to be my tactic when driving against Fengler, literally just make it look like you're going to send it up the inside, and sometimes he misses his braking point because of it. So you've just got to play a little bit clever with Mr. Fengler. The boy's got some nice genuine pace in that Lamborghini. So you do have to play a little bit coy to get past him. Peterson, though, again, I said in the intro, is a driver I drove against last season. Does have some really good pace. But yet to see what he can do in a Lamborghini, in a Aston Martin. So he's come from a Lamborghini to a front-engine Aston Martin. Two very different driving principles in those cars. Didn't send it then, as I thought he might do. This is bringing Smith well and truly into this fight, though. Smith started this little exchange 2.3 seconds back. He's now half a second behind Peterson. So Peterson's going to be in that really awkward situation now where he's going to have two fights going on at once. Does he attack or does he defend? Now, in my mindset, you're attacking. You're trying to get past that Lamborghini of Fengler, but Fengler's not going to make that move. He's not going to make that move easy for you. Does Peterson? Where is he going to make this move happen? That's the next question for him, because the Aston's not famous for being a great braking car, so you really want to get that move done in the twisty stuff. But if the Lamborghini is good enough there, it's going to be hard to get past it. You'll see Peterson's probably not as good on the brakes as he probably should be to get a move done. That is probably down to the Aston Martin. I've driven a lot of endurance races in that car and can tell you the brakes are woeful in that thing. It's like trying to brake using the power of 4. Oh, but he manages to get down the inside of Fengler. Is Fengler going to keep it in? I think that was a mistake from Fengler there. We'll have a look at a replay in a moment. That is unless Mr. Smith tries to get into the action as well, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it right now. So what we will do is cut back to a little replay and just see what happened from Fengler's perspective then. Does he make a little mistake going into? Let's try and get a good angle. He's just slow. Yeah, he gets a bit of a twitch of oversteer coming into the corner. Yeah, and unfortunately that just unsettles him enough for Peterson, who happened to have a perfect angle. Yeah, that just happened to upset him enough. The man that has absolutely benefited, as we cut back to live, is Glenn Smith. Now Glenn's in a completely different beast in the Ferrari then. He's a bit of an all-rounder in my opinion. It's got a bit of everything about it. And Glenn, who's really come to fruition in that car, he was another driver in the Lamborghini. He's going to want to get this move done quickly, because if Peterson's allowed to check out at the front of this little battle, he's just going to lose Glenn time behind Christian, who he's going to feel like he's faster than. As far as fastest laps in the race goes, Christian's best lap so far is a 2:02.8. Glenn's a 2:02.6, so he does have a couple of attempts on Christian. What is surprising though, Spitzer slowest of the lot, and he's genuinely at the back at the moment. Last lap of 2:04.1. So Glenn, having seen the move that Peterson pulled last lap, will have hoped for a better exit from that corner. That exit not doing him any favours at all, and Fengler's going to be successfully able to defend this one. Talking of Spitzer, 2:03.6 for him that time round. So, sorry, 2:03.5. So he's staying with Courier here. But you hasten to add that he might struggle unless Courier's internet does die a horrible death again, and you never know, because well, we've seen it happen already, haven't we? So who knows what's going to happen though. Checking in with our race leader, Mr. Horman. He is 3 seconds ahead of Peterson now. Peterson only really just having that lap, that position given to him by Fengler. His last lap then, Peterson now is in clear over 2:02.9, 2:02.7 for Horman, so it's going to be difficult for Peterson to do much about the Ferrari ahead of him. But strategy, we will see. Do you take tyres? Do you not take tyres? What's the weather going to do? The weather might play a part in this one. We've got an hour and 15 minutes to go, so you know the weather well and truly could just turn on its head, and if someone out there has gone for a more of a wet-driven setup, they could come into their own. You really don't know at this point what's going to happen. It's really only going to be in the last the last phase of the race where we're going to have an idea as to what's actually going to happen, because we'll have a bit more. We have a prediction that should give us about 30 minutes worth of notice if anything's going to happen. Plenty of time for these drivers to make a change as far as as far as making strategy switches go. So we'll see what's going to happen, whether that translates to 15 minutes in game time, because of course we run a multiplier in these longer races. Just to make the weather changes progress a little bit faster. Still keep an eye on Smith, and unfortunately for Smith, he's not managing to get past that Lamborghini easily, and Peterson, as you'll see now, is checking out ahead. He's 2.5 seconds to the good now ahead of Fengler. Went a whole 6 tenths faster that time round. Now he's in clear air. Personal best lap of the race last time out for Peterson, 2:02.6. Best lap of the race so far is Horman, a 2:02.5. So yeah, Peterson in that Aston Martin really working at the moment. Of course, because of all that rain we had, inverted commas, yesterday, that washed away a lot of the rubber that would have been put down during the practice sessions. And the track has not yet rubbered in, so we've got a lot of time before we start to see these drivers approach the 2-minute mark. Of course, while the track has barely any rubber on it, there ain't as much grip. You start to see these drivers slide the tyres around. As far as pit strategies go, I'm holding on as long as I can really in these conditions, and while everyone's similarly disadvantaged, I'm not going to commit myself to going on to another set of dry tyres. Unless of course your pressure settings are way off or you're running out of fuel, you're not really wanting to come in until you know what's happening with that weather. And at the minute the weather is due to stay cloudy but dry, and with a track temp now of 30 degrees, it's just going to be a case of looking after your tyres. Try not to slide the car all that much, and yeah, just keep yourself on the black stuff. Smith learning from his mistakes, getting a slightly better exit out there, but the Lamborghini just squats itself down on the exit and can get a nice drive out of that Casio triangle, and it really makes it difficult for the Ferrari to launch an attack. The Ferrari's weaknesses are where the Lamborghini's strengths lie, and unfortunately for Smith, that is meaning this Fengler assault is having to be put on hold a moment. He's probably just going to have to wait for a mistake from Fengler. Which doesn't seem to be coming quite easily. Fengler so far is doing a really good job of holding that final podium position. Of course, as I said during the formation lap, it's pretty much guaranteed for half the field here, at least, that they're going to get a podium out of this one. With only 6 drivers to focus on, there is not much. So the only battle on track really is between these two. Fengler's not really being pushed into going too defensive just yet, but Smith really is right on that bumper now. And this might be a position where Smith might line something up for Spoon. Of course, if he makes Fengler defend into Spoon, that means his apex speed for Spoon's going to be a lot slower. It's a very difficult corner because there's not a big braking input there into Spoon. You try to carry the speed as much as you can. So if you're Smithy, you're really lining him up for a move into braking in Casio Triangle. The brakes on that Ferrari are really good. So you're getting in the tow here, you're really wanting just to get yourself into a position where you can just launch one down the inside. One hazard, I guess, is not close enough right now. Just wants to hope that that Ferrari can outbrake itself. Yep, we start another lap. Lap number 9 about to get in the books. And as it stands, the Ferrari of Smith is well and truly penned in then behind that Ferrari. His last lap time of 2:03.6. His best lap time of 2:02.6. So he's a full second slower than he was at his best. Correa behind these as weirdly enough, and I'm gonna voice confusion, his last lap was a 2:02.1, which would have been a fastest lap of the race by 4 tenths, and yeah, that no, that didn't happen. So the timing system here is not working. Not working as well as it should, I hasten to add. But Correa is gaining ground. He's 3 seconds back from this little pack. And Smith goes for one there, but Fengler's got the apex covered off. You wonder now if Smith is getting a little bit impatient. We had a yellow flag temporarily. That was for Correa, whose internet, again, just shut itself temporarily and threw him into a wall. But I assure you, he's actually okay. Yeah, the gap now between Fengler and Peterson is nearly 4 seconds, and all the while Smith is stuck behind the Lamborghini, to coin a phrase, or can't get past the Lamborghini, or the Lamborghini is genuinely faster than him at this point of the race. Delete which one is not appropriate. Oh, it just touches the gear. We need to be careful of that, Glenn, as that makes him run wide. This could be. I mean, I've not got the experience of how that works here at Suzuka, and just how liable you are for drive-throughs. But you have a maximum of 4 track cuts time gains you can get. So that really is when you go really off track limits. You get 4 of those, you're in the pits, and you're just driving through the pit lane at 30 or 40 mile an hour, and it's really painful. You don't want to be getting one of those, because that is a race ruiner. So if you've got warnings already, you've got an hour and 10 minutes to not get any more. Yeah, so that last lap time for Correa, I want to say he might have just took a chunk out of a chicane, you know. Who knows, but yeah, his last lap time of 2:03.4, so a little bit more representative. Importantly, yeah, sorry, it's 2:03.9, but importantly, not much quicker than these guys ahead are going. What is important to note, Peterson, that Aston Martin that has been freed from the shackles of the Fengler, has just been on an absolute charge since he got past the Moser machine, and has just done a 2:02.4, so fastest lap of the race for Peterson, which means one of two things. Either he is genuinely faster than Horman, or the track conditions, his car weight, etc., etc., are in a position where he can deliver a faster lap. So of course he might have started the race with only enough fuel to take him a certain distance into the race. He might have only put, say, 30 minutes worth of fuel in the car. Some of these drivers may have fueled for a full hour, which, most of these drivers can get about an hour and 5, hour and 10 minutes out of these cars on a full tank. You can't do the full 90 minutes on a tank, but you can do most of it. Smith then in a position now to go for a send down into the Casio Triangle. He does go for a send, but he's not alongside enough. He does force Fengler to go deep though. That might make him run a little bit slow out of the Casio Triangle. As you see the Lamborghini leaving tyre marks then on the exit, but he's still fast enough out of the corner to keep the Ferrari behind, and it's got to be frustrating for the 2ID Ferrari, as he feels like he's certainly got the advantage over the Lamborghini to get past. How much he's pushing to get past though at this moment in time, I'm not sure he's really pushing as hard as he could. Whether he's quite content where he is, I don't know. He is of course losing time to the guys ahead, but you know, Glenn might not feel that Peterson and Horman are his fight. He might just be focusing on keeping his tyres in good condition or saving his fuel. You really don't know what's going through the strategy of some of these guys, and we've seen some really strange things pulled off in the past. I have been keeping an eye on the timing screens though, and this man, as you'll notice, is right up the chuff of the Ferrari of Horman. 0.7 seconds is the gap. Oh, what's happened here? We've had a little bit of something because the timing screen flicked then. Let's go back and have a look and see if anything did happen. So we are approaching the Degners now. Whatever happened, happened into the hairpin. So the corner after this one. So Degner 2. Fengler gets a bit sideways. That gives Smith the opportunity to drive up. Fengler defends the inside. They are alongside, and Smith backs out of the move. So, yeah, Smith not able to take advantage. Fengler's tyres seeming a little bit second hand though now, as we flick back up to the lead battle. This is on board Horman's Ferrari. He's still doing good pace, 2:02.5s for Horman, being the last lap time he set. The Aston Martin a 2:02.4 last time out. Sorry, no, I stand corrected. I'm looking at the wrong thing. 2:03.3 for Horman, 2:03.0 for Peterson. So Peterson really is on the charge. Smith still on the charge against Fengler, and that's the battle we'll probably just keep a little bit of an eye on for now. Really should have bought a drink with me to do this. I'm starting to get a little bit parched. So there might be a moment of time where I depart just to go and get a drink. And of course just reply to some text. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask at the same time. And oh, as Fengler again goes discovering parts of Japan, and that just gives Smith the place. You wonder whether Mr. Fengler, he's just took the best out of his tyres. So we're going to watch then. He's coming out of the S's now. You can hear that, well, you can see it if you're really paying attention. We'll just go on board with the. We'll watch this angle. And he just hasn't got the grip. And the Ferrari just able to really sail past there then. Nothing happening in the lead battle at the moment. Peterson and Horman still have roughly the same gap, and the gap between Smith and Peterson now is 10 seconds. So whether Smith is going to be able to do anything about that, who knows. If Horman and Peterson decide to battle, obviously that could cause another rift as Smith goes deep. Then is this going to give Fengler an opportunity? Fengler might go for the send here, you never know. What I am going to say though is this might be the part of the race where you're looking at the weather predictor going, right, it's going to be dry for at least another 15 minutes. If I'm going to be in a battle against this guy, is it worth me pitting to get out of the traffic? Get some clear air. We've seen these guys are faster in clear air. So now's probably the point with an hour to go. You know you can do the rest of the race on a full tank if you really want to. So now you can start to commit to your pit stops. Yeah. What do you really want to do about this? Because if you're Peterson especially, obviously you don't know what his fuel situation's like. You don't know what tyres, sort of whether he's gone for an aggressive setup, so his tyres are dying. You know, you really don't know. But what you do know is the radar's showing that it's clear for at least the next 15 minutes. So are you willing at this point to commit to any sort of pit stop? And again, I'm still in camp don't pit yet. If I'm Peterson, I'm probably thinking of having a go at Horman, seeing how that goes. If I don't feel like I can get past Horman on genuine pace at this stage of the race, I might think about taking that early pit stop. If he pit now, he does come out in good clear air. If he, yeah, so he should come out pretty far behind Spitzer at the moment, because the field's still the top two are on their own, and then 10 seconds back there's another 3 or 4 cars. Oh, it's Horman there, goes deep into the Casio triangle. We've seen how fast this Aston Martin is in a straight line. He's not going to be close enough right now to have a go at it, but he's certainly going to be able to give Horman something to think about, which is not something he's had for the first half an hour of the race. So, yeah, Peterson, that little mistake by Horman there, just on the entry to Casio Triangle, gifted Peterson about 3 tenths worth of time. And these guys now back in the 203s. No drivers running in the 202s anymore, so that tells me the tyres are starting to fall off a little bit. Even with fuel loads depleting, the drivers are a little bit slower. So it's either down to tyres or fighting. There's only really 2 cars that are in battles at the minute, because Fengler has dropped away from Smith a little bit. Fengler's now got the Mercedes of Courier to worry about. It does look like Peterson, now he's got to that sort of second gap behind Horman, that progress has stalled a little bit and he's not able to make much more headway towards the lead of the race. So you do wonder if this is going to be done predominantly on strategy rather than an overtake on track. Time will tell, I think. Time will tell. What else is happening? Well, with 6 cars on track, not an awful lot. Track's just got a little bit hotter. We've gone to 31 degrees now. Of course, it's 10:30 in the morning in Japan at the moment, so the later on in the day this gets, the warmer the track should get. We might rise another couple of degrees before the end of the race just yet. So again, another thing the drivers might be considering is how hot the track's going to get. That will have an impact in how they set the pit stops up and how they set their tyre pressures up. Now they've committed to their setup for the race, by the way, so they can't go in and start changing camber or toe angles or anything like that. They can only really tweak the tyre pressures, which typically is enough, as long as your setup isn't completely compromised by your pressures. But yeah, we'll see how the strategy's playing out. One way you can keep an eye on this from home, from wherever you are watching this, is on your screen you'll see the list of the drivers. There's an emblem of car, the number, i.e. 318 777XX, that's just the car number, and then next to that you'll see a little orange 2. And what that means is the driver has 2 pit stops remaining. Until that bar turns green, they have to come into the pits, and the 2 represents the amount of pit stops they have to do. So in the next hour, 58 minutes, so each driver's got to come in the box twice, which leaves plenty of opportunities for strategy, plenty of opportunities for different fuel amounts, and of course plenty of opportunities for drivers, Christian, to absolutely spaff it into the pit lane and get an SG30 or at worst disqualify themselves from the race. That happens, ladies and gents. So that is a possibility. So we'll see what happens with this one. At the moment, two different battles on track that we're sort of keeping half an eye on. The battle for the lead between Horman and Peterson. Horman was able to escape start of the race, and since Peterson has managed to work his way past Fengler, he's only gone faster and faster, and at the moment tucked right up behind the wing of that Ferrari. But he's not yet looked like he's going to make a move on him. The other battle we're keeping an eye on is Coria v Fengler. So Coria, who has had historically terrible internet, but it's kept him in it so far. He is currently P5, looking at the back of the Lamborghini of Fengler, who's been struggling the last couple of laps. He's bad down in 205s now. So something on that Lamborghini's gone horribly wrong, and he's really starting to struggle for pace. 204.6 actually last time around for Fengler, so he's actually starting to improve his times. Peterson again, 203s for him. So last lap, 5/10 faster than Horman. It's just going to be a question though, is he going to still try and make that move happen on track? Horman's car looks a little bit skittish, but that might just be the way he drives. You don't know. You don't know. Sometimes to get the speed out of these cars, you actually do need to drift them into corners, and although that sounds very counterproductive, it works. Little weird and wonderful things about esports, of course. So yeah, it's a tough one to call right now. I would still hold Horman out as his favourite to win the race. Of course he qualified first, he's in first at the moment. It's hard to see him not being in the mix by the end. Anything could happen in the next hour as we just see Peterson get a little bit squiggly coming out of Spoon. It's going to affect his pace coming down towards 130R. Track's still not rubbered in properly, so the 202 times we're seeing at the moment, more a reflection on track condition rather than anything else. Heavy on the brakes, and Peterson with that early change up to second through the Casio triangle, and that's just to quell some of that oversteer he's been getting. As we start lap number 17 here at Suzuka. It's a cloudy, overcast day, but so far the weatherman's saying no rain on the horizon for the next 15 or so minutes. That's about as advanced as our weather radar gets. We only get about 15 minutes or so advance warning of any inclement weather. So for most of the drivers, they can probably start to think about ticking a pit stop off. As we were watching Horman Peterson, we're now watching Coria Fengler. Both battles kicking off simultaneously. Can Coria in the Mercedes do anything about the Lamborghini? Similar to the battle we saw against Fengler and Peterson. The strengths of that Mercedes. Really where the Lamborghini is going to have to be weak. Fortunately, the Lamborghini is really good coming out of corners, and Mercedes really has to take advantage of its top end grunt to be effective, and there's not many places here at Suzuka that can really do that. Back to the front, we see Horman in the QRT Esports Ferrari, just ahead of Peterson. At the moment, no change in the order. Is Peterson gonna be in a position to have a move down at Casio Triangle? Looking at where he is now, I would say not. And that would back it up, given where he's finished that. alternative strategy some drivers might do, and it's a similar strategy to what I did in Snetterton last time. It's to just box both your pit stops off in 2 laps. Just get it all done. Some of these drivers, I think, are waiting for the 45-ish minute mark to do that, because that's the halfway point of the race. So what they might do, 45-ish minutes, come in, splash and dash, change tyres. You might struggle to get, you might struggle to get an hour and a half out of one set of tyres here, and it doesn't really cost you too much to change those tyres. But it's only really worth doing it once. It's not worth doing it every 30 minutes. So the drivers haven't really opted to do that. Most of them will literally just come in for one splash and dash pit stop, probably near the end of the race. In fact, it's quite hard to call the strategy. You might notice on the weather it's got a little bit clearer, so we're seeing a bit more blue sky available there, which probably leads us against the rain prediction. Of course, we're not guaranteed rain. We may have mixed conditions available to us. Doesn't mean the weather in Japan is going to necessarily turn inclement. It could well be dry and clear for the entirety of the race. If you're wondering how the battle between Courier and Fengler is going on, I am sad to say it's fizzled out slightly. It's gone down to 1 second. So I'm just replying to a little message. Sorry about that. Alright, back with you. Nothing's changed, predictably. Good to see we still have 6 drivers though. I was getting a bit worried at one point that we might lose Courier because of his internet, but alas, he seems to have rectified that issue and he's still with us. I'm trying to chase down a Fengler for P4. Spitzer, my surprise of the day really, he's down at the bottom. The bottom still being P6, still being decent points of course, but last on this occasion. Hasten to add, if I was in this field, I've done no practice all week. I would have been down there with him. Not much to report though, really. There's not much going on. I feel we are starting to really approach the pit stop phase of the race now. A lot of drivers dipping into the 204s. It leads me to believe the tyres really have gone off for a lot of people now. With the track temps starting to increase, we're 2 degrees hotter than we were at the start of the race. We're probably due it going up to about 32 degrees soon. It's about 10 to 11 in the morning here in Suzuka. We're probably unlikely to reach peak summertime heat, but 27 degrees ambient, 31 degrees on the track. Although with the cloud then hiding some of that sunshine has kept the track temperature a little bit more sensible. Had this been full clear, we might have seen track temps approaching the 40s. You know, it really would have got toasty out here. But at the moment, the cloud's keeping some of that temperature at bay, and I'm sitting here wondering whether that is why some of the drivers are really holding off on the pit stops. Because if that cloud suddenly disperses, and that can happen here, if I'll give you an interior shot on board Horman, and I'll give you an interior shot, you can see how overcast it is. There's not really many gaps in those clouds, and if those gaps were to clear, you see there's a gap forming there now. So some blue sky starting to creep out, and that if that sunlight starts to get on the track, the tarmac being the colour it is really going to soak up some of that heat, and we could see the temperature start to increase. And once that starts happening, the tyres will literally start to cook. So yeah, maybe that's why some of these guys are starting to hold off on the pit stops. Each car out here has got to pit twice, so we've got a lot of pit stops to get through. Whether the order is going to be the way it is in the next 47 minutes, and whether that is going to be influenced by the way these pit stops work out, is anyone's guess, really. What I can say, really, is each car went out of at least 60 kilos, because they're a good way into the race now, and nobody's boxed for fuel yet. At the moment, your order is Horman in the Ferrari, Peterson in the Aston Martin. They're the two cars you can see on your screen. Then we've got Glenn Smith in the Ferrari. Not managing to make a dent into those two top guys yet, but he's pulling away from Fengler. Fengler is in that P4 spot. He was being harassed by the Mercedes behind him for a while, but has managed to pull a little bit of a gap back. Correa is that Mercedes, who I feel has got a nicer livery than what I'm doing justice here, because I didn't update my awesome. And then Spitzer, who we've not really seen on the stream at all, really. Unfortunately, Martin, you've been near the back, so I've not really been able to demonstrate you that much, but a driver I've definitely got a lot of time for. We spoke about the pit stops. We have the first one happening now. Peterson boxes from P2. I have a feeling he's going to take tyres and enough fuel to get him another sort of 15 or so minutes. And that's really all he's going to do. So this is going to be about a 40-second stop for him. That will bring him out way behind everyone else, but of course everyone else has got to pit at the same point as well. And so you've got a lot of way to go here. Peterson, the only car to take advantage of the pit stops at the moment. He is out of the box now, out on track. I'm going to guess he's on fresh rubber now, and a little bit of fuel in that car. I doubt he would have done the full 45 minutes worth. He's going to do one or two things. He'll either come straight back in again, just to get his compulsories out of the way, or he's going to wait at least another 15 or 20 minutes. See what the weather's going to do, see if the weather does turn and he needs to make any tyre adjustments, and then commit to his last pit stop. The rest of the drivers, they've all got to do 2 stops yet. So does Horman react to that stop by Peterson then, or does he stay out? Because Peterson's going to be fast on new rubber. Horman doesn't react, he stays out. Is that going to be the right call ultimately? We will wait and see. Does Smith do anything about this? He's probably too far back to be too influenced, but he is boxing. So the 2ID Ferrari in the pits. Gets the car slowed down in time. No issues with that. Fengler also in the pits and gets his car slowed down. Correa also in the pits. So that 45-minute mark is the magic button for most of these drivers. Half of the field in the pit stops, in the boxes all at once. This could mix the order up between Fengler and Correa. Correa could choose to try and jump Fengler in the pits. The good news really is no cars have suffered any damage at any point in this race. They've all avoided having any damage caused to them. There's been no incidents, there's been no collisions, no lap ones, no nothing. It's been really clean. And Spitzer now up into P2, but obviously he's not pitted yet. So driver I'm going to keep an eye on for his times is Peterson. Lap time is not really representative at the minute because of course he's pitted. So this next lap will tell us a lot about whether he is he's firing on all cylinders. You can visibly see now the sky is clearing. It's a little bit brighter out here than it was at the start of the race. It's a lot less glum. A balmy 27 degrees ambient, so those pit crews will be sweating a little bit. Courier does leapfrog Fengler in the pits. That's going to be important come the end of the race, I feel. Fengler then, not going to be happy about that. What does he do about it? He discovers the grass, is what he does. Again, this is where strategy might be quite important. If you're Fengler, do you take a gamble, box again, get your compulsory out of the way, and just lap fast as you can around the back of the grid? You don't know. You don't know what's going through these guys' minds. But Horman makes his stop. So this could be critical for the lead of the race. Keep an eye on Peterson. We do expect him to be in contention to take the lead off Horman. Spitzer's staying out. He's leaving this late. Don't forget, he's been on these tyres now for 50 minutes or so. Peterson coming around 130R, round about now. Horman just coming out of his box. So this literally was a splash and dash for Horman. He's not even changed tyres, I don't think. He's done one of those pit stops already, yet it's counted towards his allocation. So he's at least taken a litre of fuel on board. Peterson just coming around the final corner now. Horman's already in the S's. So I definitely think Peterson in his stop took tyres and fuel. I definitely think he did. So this may not be bad news for Peterson just yet. His last lap time out of 2:02.7, fastest lap of the race so far at 2:02.4. So he's not too far off the fastest lap of the race. He's got some good clean air. There's no cars around him at all. The cars are really starting to space out now because of the pit stops happening and different strategies now starting to play into the fold. The only two cars that are close on track are Courier and Fengler, separated by about 2 seconds. Everyone else nearly into double digits as far as gaps go. So yeah, we've just got a little bit of working out to do as far as strategy goes. We'll see what happens. We have had another little bit of an increase in the temperature. The weatherman's telling me it's now 32 degrees on the track. That will start to have a bit more of an impact on tyres. Muted you so you didn't hear me sneeze. I hope you're grateful for that. Yeah, I'm literally doing this comms completely unprepared. I would hasten to have done a bit more prep had I have known I'm doing this, and you know, I would have probably been racing this and streaming my POV in a different world. But you know, it's not really been a good season for me. I've only done one race, which was Mount Panorama. And that didn't go too well for me because of contact, let's just say. Yeah, well, I'm not even counting Spa. That was a write-off, that one. Right, Peterson, what's your lap time then? 2:02.7 was your last time to beat. I'm also keeping an eye on Horman's times because this will tell me what it is, and he sets the fastest lap of the race. Yeah, 2:02.422. So Peterson really flying now. Horman's really got to start doing something similar. Spitzer has yet to make any pit stops. So Spitzer's out there lapping in the 2:04s, nearly 2:05s. Important, Courier's just done a 2:02.9 in the Mercedes. That's his fastest lap of the race so far. And the second fastest man on track at the moment is Courier, so he's doing really well in that Mercedes. Don't forget that Mercedes on the BOP has had a kilogram removed. Doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna be fast around here. It just means it was slower compared to the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis. So just try and level the playing field. It's not had really any weight added to it. It's in fact had a kilo taken out of the ballast box. So should feel quite nimble and agile, that Mercedes, and he's proving it with a 2:02.9 on the board. What's Horman doing? So yeah, I want to keep an eye on his lap times. He's not set any yet since his pit stops. This is his first representative lap since his pit stops. He really wants to be looking in the mid 202s for this to be anything that's going to keep Peterson from winning this race. Of course, strategy might play out in this one yet. Lap time for Horman 2:03.8. So yeah, that leads me to believe he didn't take tyres in that last stop. In fact, let me have a look at pit stop times. Give me just a second. I should be able to see that. Can I see that? Yeah, time in the pit. So Peterson's time in the pit was 1 minute and 4 seconds. Horman's time in the pit was 41 seconds. So yeah, he's that, and that's line to line. So he really isn't. He really isn't going for tyres at the moment. So I think he's just going to try and have a really fast stint at the end of the race. Also a viable strategy. While I'm looking at this stats screen, there's a few other interesting things to sort of note. The speed trap. So Peterson, fastest man on track at the moment, 263 k's he's clocked at going down the straight. Spitzer 255. So that Lamborghini, I have a feeling this is potentially set up related. Man, you're saying that Horman 256. So that Ferrari's geared to take in the corner as well. So that leaves, Spitzer might be the same. You might be wondering why the rain light's flashing, by the way, on the back of Horman's car. He might have done that manually. Doesn't necessarily mean he's on wet tyres. We know he's not. So, don't worry about that. I like going back to my race grid. Race, there we go, yeah. So, there's nothing to shout about as far as gaps. There's no battles going on track at the moment. The only thing really to keep an eye out on if you're watching is whether the drivers do make a pit stop. A race leader at the moment is Martin Spitzer, but it is important to note he hasn't made any pit stops yet. Everyone else has done at least one of their 2 mandated stops for the race. So, yeah, he's going to be in the pits, and that's about a 40-second loss at least. Even if you really go in, just take a litre and come back out again, it's 40 seconds. It's 1 minute and something if you take tyres as well. So, yeah, he's going to drop back down to the back once he comes into the pit stops, I should imagine. But at the moment, he's out there doing his laps. And we are nearly an hour into this race yet. And other than Fengler's little adventure into the gravel trap, which was only a small excursion as well, I will have you know. There has been no incidents, there has been no accidents, there's been no crashes, there's been no spins, there's been no drama, there's been no tears. It's been a really well-behaved race, and as a steward in this league, I'm immensely happy about that, because it means I don't have much work to do. Right, keeping an eye on Horman's times. Last time out for Horman, 2:04.2. Last time out for Peterson, 2:02.1. He is nearly in the 2:01s. Yeah, so Peterson, you've got to say, once these pit stops work themselves out, Peterson is favourite to leapfrog Horman. But you don't know what these guys have got up their sleeve or what they're capable of, so we'll just wait and see when the pit stops do cycle around. Whether indeed any of these drivers take any extra fuel or whether they do anything weird and wonderful. You don't know. As it stands though, yeah, as it stands, there's nothing really happening. The closest battle on track is Fengler v Correa, and that's the gap. If you're watching this in anything other than the full 720p that I can stream in currently, because yeah, well, I actually don't know why. I should really upgrade that. But yeah, you might not be able to see that Mercedes up ahead of Fengler. not much going on, ladies and gents. If you're watching this, please come and keep me company. Come and say hello in chat. Yeah, I could do with the company. Yeah, there's nothing happening. So, please come and keep me company. That'd be great, thanks. Interesting, Fengler's just done his fastest lap of the race, 2:02.6. 27 laps in the books, and yeah, Fengler's down at mid 2:02s, which is a very respectable pace. At the minute, he's the second fastest man on track, second only to Peterson. So he's gonna start eating back into that that lead that Corey has got. So this battle's not over yet. As far as their pit stops, Fengler's was about 3 seconds. Yeah, Fengler's was about 3 seconds longer, and that was time stopped. So that was physically in the box. So probably a little bit more fuel went into Fengler's car. Smith was stopped for 33 seconds, Peterson for 32, Horman 9. So that definitely tells you that he hasn't taken tyres. But this is where he's going to be stopped a little bit longer. So in his pit stops now, he's boxing off all of his pit stops. Peterson will take the lead of the race now. Peterson is going to have to stop again. But Peterson's second stop probably can be faster because he's already got new tyres on. He's just going to need to do fuel. So his next stop only has to be a small 40-second splash and dash. All it's got to be, really. Keep an eye on Horman. He's definitely in there a little bit longer now. I expect him to stop for another 10 seconds or so. So the car being refueled currently. I'd say any second now you'll hear that fly up. There we go. Off he goes. As a really good stop actually by the Ferrari crew. Stop for 32 seconds. Line to line, 1 minute 3. So he's all good there, and he's the first driver to complete his satisfactory pit stop requirement. So he's done 2 pit stops, while Spitzer, your race leader, hasn't done a single one yet. So that's how different all these strategies are starting to play out. Spitzer is your race leader at the moment, but to be fair, he's only there because he hasn't stopped yet. Everyone else, everybody else has been in the everyone else has been in the pits at least once. With Horman doing both of his. So looking back to my race thing, yet there's no real things going on track. If you're Peterson, then what are you thinking in terms of your strategy? Are you coming in now to cover that off? Are you waiting a little bit just to see if we have a final rain flurry towards the end of the race? Of course, with half an hour to go, there's still time for the weather to play a role in the outcome of this race. It could, even though the chances are low, it could piss it down. Yeah, so who knows? Who the hell knows? I won't have interviews at the end of the race, by the way, because I've had to do this. I haven't had access to a streaming voice chat, which I would have needed to have interviews. So if you're expecting interviews, I can't give you those. And I'm probably going to be bouncing straight after the stream. I'll stop around for a little chat with chat if you're here. Although at the moment, as far as I can see anyway, no one's been in the stream chat, so I've not really been able to talk to anyone. So, right, Horman, right at the back of the grid. His objective now is fast AF laps. So, looking at Peterson's statistics, this current stint he's on, he's been out for 17 minutes. Most drivers pitted about 15 minutes ago, you'll remember. So Peterson, yeah, he's been out there about 17-18 minutes now. He's in the 202s, 203s. Last time out 202.4. Fastest lap 202.1. Going to be keeping an eye on Horman's times because he needs to be doing those lap times now in order to reel that advantage back that Peterson took during the first round of pit stops. Horman did them all. A similar strategy to what I did at Snetterton last year, which is get both your pit stops done in a relatively short amount of time and just run really light and fast at the end of the race. It only really works if you've got weather you can rely on, and it seems like it might be dry to the end of the race, so we'll see what Peterson does, see if he's going to try and cover. He will have taken enough fuel to get him. I think he's taken enough fuel to get him to about 20 minutes left. That's what I think. And finally, Martin Spitzer pits. So in he is for his compulsory stop. He's been out there for an hour, so he started with a full tank of fuel. And he was stationary there for 13 seconds, so he's not... Is he not taking any tyres? Spitzer, you're a madman. Another important stop coming up. Courier coming to take his last stop then. This man was battling with Fengler. So that lifts Horman then to P5. He will just naturally climb the order now. He's the next car ahead of him is Fengler. There's a 15-16 second gap between the two cars, so I imagine by the time Horman gets there, Fengler will be pitting anyway. But we've got 4 stops remaining. Courier is now out of the pits. That one was... he was stopped for 8 seconds, so it was just a splash and dash that for Courier, but he's satisfied the requirements set out by the race director, and he's all green and good to go to the end of the race. And now it's just a case of can he lap fast enough to get past Fengler. The observant of you in chat will have noticed that the fastest lap of the race has now gone to Horman, a 2:01.9. So he is executing plan B fast at the end. What's Peterson got to respond to that with? His last lap of 2:02.9, a full second slower for Peterson at that point of the race. But does the Aston Martin choose to pit? He's turn 2 now, so no, he's not. He's not boxing yet. Like I said a minute ago, I think he's holding out a little bit just yet. But this man has satisfied all his pit stop requirements. He's now going to the end of the race, which is 24 minutes away. In terms of what to look out for, it's definitely him v Peterson, and then it's going to be this man v Courier. So we'll keep an eye on this. As far as does he take tyres? Does he just do a splash and dash? What was his tyre situation at the first stop? I wasn't too sure. No, so just a splash and dash for Fengler then, but he does come out behind Courier. Oh, and I've managed to do something weird here. What have I done? No, you won't see this, but I've somehow managed to cock things up in the background. Oh well, never mind. Never mind. You're none the wiser on stream as to the carnage that's unfolding in the background. My timing system, which has just decided it just doesn't want to display anymore. But you know what? I'm a consummate professional. I will figure something out in the background. In the meantime, let's have a look at the drivers yet to pit. So we've got Peterson, still got to make his last pit stop. We've got Glenn Smith, who we've not actually looked at in a while since he got past the cars of Courier and Fengler. Glenn's just sort of been quietly going about his business. He's been setting nice consistent laps. He's currently P2 on the road. I think he's definitely in contention. Well, he is in contention. He is that final podium spot at the moment. As far as net positions go. It's all down to that final pit stop though. Spitzer 10 seconds behind him. Spitzer's lap times now still in the 205s, so Spitzer's not going fast enough yet really to make a dint on Glenn Smith. The guy in the ascendancy at the minute is Horman in the 201s. 201.7 is the fastest lap of the race so far. So Horman really motoring on. A bit of a carnage week, mate, and I've not been able to get in the rig at all. So I decided, since Dennis couldn't stream this one, that I would just nip in and just give it some coverage. It hasn't been a classic, I won't lie. I'll call it as it is. There's interesting bits about it because there's different strategies going on, but with there only being 6 drivers, there's been no carnage. No one's crashed. Fengler hasn't caused some sort of international crisis, although he is causing a yellow flag. Oh, Mr. Fengler, what have you done? What have you done, Mr. Fengler? Where is he? He's coming out of the S's now. That might put his assault of Courier on hold. Let's go and have a look at what happened there, chat. Yeah, we seemingly may have jinxed that. What happened to Fengler? Oh, he just got the back end loose of that Lamborghini and wasn't able to grab it, and the pendulum effect happened, and yeah, he just decided to cook his tyres, getting the car turned back round again. So away we go, and yeah, that was one of the battles, as Glenn Smith in the background is in the pits, by the way. That's one of the things we're keeping an eye on. I don't expect anything to really change when Smith comes out. He probably will get overtaken by Horman, which he definitely will get overtaken by Horman. But I think Corey is too far back to really do anything about it. Yeah, he is. He's far too far back. So Smith satisfies the demands of the race director and gets both his pit stops out of the way. And he now will assume P3, and I think that's where he'll end up. So I'll imagine that the timing screen on your side hasn't really updated yet, but Smith is actually P4 on the road. Sorry, I would imagine Smith will go ahead of Spitzer when Spitzer pits, and probably behind Peterson when Peterson pits. So due for a P3 on the road is Mr. Smith. What else have we got going on? Just 2 pit stops to go. Peterson and Spitzer. So Peterson here. Does he box this lap? We're about at the time I thought he might start thinking about it. I think Peterson's just holding out in case anything happens with the weather. We're sort of close enough to the end of the race now that even if you start getting a downpour towards the end of the race, you're just going to hang out on dry tyres anyway and not really risk coming in. You're going to lose more time than you're going to gain in the pits. So if I'm Peterson, my engineer is telling me I can box any time from now and just get the pit stop out of the way. The pit stop is always it's a tangible risk. So you could always speed into pit lane, you could miss your pit box, and you want to really just get that risk out of the way as a driver and just not have that looming over you, I don't think. But we'll see what he chooses to do. Of course, we don't know. You know, we don't know what these drivers have had planned or what they're doing. Anything, of course, could happen in these closing 18 minutes here at Suzuka. One thing that is for sure though, is Horman be fast. 2:01.9 last time out for Horman, 2:01.7. The only driver on the track at all that has got into the 2:01s. Everyone else been in the 2:02s at best so far today. I was hoping we'd see a late onslaught by Fengler, but unfortunately that spin has put pay to that. Without that spin, I think he definitely had the pace to start having a go at Courier. He was, that lap, having not spanned that lap, was a 2:03.8, whereas the one that before for Courier was a 2:04.2. So he's reeling him back in again. So the gap is now 13 seconds. So he's not really got the time to do it now. You know, but Courier could spin. Who knows? Anything, you'd like to say, anything could really happen. To be fair, so who knows? When are these drivers going to pit? So Peterson's still going, Spitzer's still going as well. Horman, Smith, Courier and Fengler don't have to box yet. Don't have to box again, sorry. They're going to the end of the race. So as you see them on track, it's as they are really. I think they should all leapfrog Spitzer, because Spitzer's next stop's probably going to be a bit of a big one. Spitzer though might stay out ahead of Fengler because of Fengler's spin. Spitzer pits now, so let's see where it comes out. This might be quite interesting. His last stop was a splash and dash. Whether he chooses to take tyres is up to him. He doesn't have to take tyres. All he has to have on board that car at this pit stop is at least 1 litre of fuel delivered by the fuel bowser. We know he was heavy at the start of the race. I think he's just going to take maybe 20 litres of fuel. Yeah, he's literally splashed and dashed that. He's not changed tyres. He can't have changed tyres. He's leapfrogged 2 drivers here, and Courier, caught in no man's land, isn't going to be able to get past that Lamborghini. So we now have, and I'm so excited, I am erect, ladies and gentlemen, because we have a fight on our hands here. Courier, who has tyres on his machine that aren't grained to shit, he's going to be able to launch an attack against Spitzer, whose tyres, no word of a lie at this point. I mean, don't get me wrong, Spitzer, he's not a span or anything like that, but they've got to be very second hand at this point. Can Courier, in that more fresh Mercedes-Benz, do anything about the Lamborghini ahead? The Lamborghini you're looking at, he's a madman, ladies and gentlemen. He's certified crazy at this point. He's got, those tyres have been on that car now for an hour and 15 minutes. In the real world, that's entirely doable, but in the sim, the time model in the sim is about 65 minutes. You really got second-hand tyres on board that car. Spitzer's got 15 minutes to keep this Mercedes behind him, and the Mercedes is a bit of a beast in a straight line. Spitzer's issue is going to be corner exits. He's really going to have to smarten up his corner exits so that Mercedes doesn't get by. If we just run on board the Mercedes, you'll just get a perspective as how much faster. You can just see how much bloody Spitzer's struggling. Courier's going to have a go here. Spitzer going to defend this one. That strategy is bold, and please don't go side by side through 130. Boys, don't. Yep, no, don't do it. No. Jesus Christ. Spitzer manages to successfully defend. And for a minute there, I went limp because I thought we might have an accident. But I'm back to semi, and the Mercedes is gonna have a go using the power of the suck to get past the Lamborghini. The Lamborghini having the benefit of the inside line. Oh, is he gonna leave Courier to hang out to dry? I don't think Courier was alongside enough to justify space on the racetrack. Spitzer then, just using all available Nous racecraft intelligence. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the car underneath him to deliver that. He's really at a disadvantage here against the Mercedes, which is much fresher. The Mercedes, if I just load up my stats, the Mercedes has been out there for 13 minutes. Granted, I think the Merc changed its tyres about half an hour ago. So the Merc's tyres aren't exactly new, but they are much better than that Lamborghini. They're twice as good, basically. the Lamborghini's been on the same tyres the entire race, which is brave. I've never seen that strat work, and there we go. That's why it doesn't work, because you just go off the circuit. So if you just have a look, we'll just ride on board with Spitzer. Yeah, if I put my tyres through this much pain on the road, I'd be arrested. And it just doesn't stop. It just doesn't have the grip now. And that, unfortunately for Spitzer, who I was quite excited to see launch, and he flashes in for some reason. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, for some reason he flashed him. I don't know, but yeah, I was excited to see that happen, that battle, because I really do think that. Yeah, I really do think that that could have been quite a fun thing to watch. Alas, we're not going to get that. Peterson's the next car to pit, well, the only car to pit now. He currently holds a, I will tell you, 40-second lead ahead of Horman. If he gets his splash and dash right, line to line, it's 40 seconds for a pit stop. If he boxes now, he'll come out neck and neck with Horman, I reckon, if he does his pit stop right. Line to line, the last splash and dashes, they've only been stopped for about 5 seconds. Does Peterson box now? No, he carries on. He's brave. He's going to leave this till the last possible moment. But I think even just taking like 1 litre of fuel, you're still stopped for a second or two. Yeah, you still stopped for a second or two. So the fastest pit stop I've seen in this race is 37 seconds. The gap between the two cars is 40 seconds. So there's a 3-second sort of buffer that Peterson's got at the moment. Yeah, he changed his tyre, so he's going to be similar again to the Spitzer, although less extreme because both have changed tyres. But yeah, Peterson changed his tyres. When was it now? He's been out on these tyres for what's his stint length? Let's have a look. 35 minutes. So his tyres should be okay. Like, they won't be absolutely dead, but Horman's been on his for 20. So yeah, he's currently able to lap approximately a second a lap faster. So Peterson's really he's got to pit. I think he's got to pit. No tyres is not viable at Suzuka. Mate, he's not pitted. I guarantee you Skitty is not pitted. Like, he's stopped. His time in the box has been like 9 and 7 seconds or something like that. So he's not stopped. he's not took tyres, and he's really paying. Like, Spitzer's lap times are 2:05, and Horman's doing like 2:02s and stuff. So he's obviously really struggling. We're watching Peterson. Gap to Horman 40 seconds. Staying pretty average, but here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is an I'm getting a tingle in my dingle right now. This is where it's going to get exciting. Where's Horman on the track? So Horman is coming round Spoon right now, and the gap at the time Peterson boxed was 40 seconds. It could be, mate. It could be Peterson for the win. So his lead was 40 seconds. If he nails his pit stop, his line-to-line pit stop time is about 37 seconds. He just has to get this right. This has to be a good stop for the Aston Martin. It seems to be good there. Let's just go on board with Horman. Where's Horman? He's coming around the last corner now. Just jump on board with the Ferrari. He's going to see an Aston Martin there. Peterson's done it. Peterson's ahead. But he's going to be... Horman's on fresher tyres, so this isn't over yet. Peterson's tyres will have cooled as he's going down the pit lane. He's got to rebuild that pressure. That takes a lap or so. The gap is down to 2 seconds now. We've got 8 minutes remaining. That's a about 4 or 5 laps here at Suzuka, depending on what sort of lap times they're doing. There's enough time for Horman to do this, but at the moment, track position goes for Peterson. Yeah, Horman's doing good enough laps. He's 2:02.4s. Before we pitted, Peterson was in the 2:03s. The gap's 2 seconds. I would expect Horman to be in striking distance in the next 2 laps or so. It's just a case of whether he can get it done. The Aston Martin is a beast in a straight line. The Ferrari really is going to have to hope he can do it in the twisties. And Horman now is going to be on full attack dog mode for the last couple of laps here at Suzuka. Yeah, I'm not excited now. This is finally something for me to get really excited about, because Horman dominated the early phase of the race. Peterson went on a massive charge. He didn't qualify well. He went on a huge charge and got past a couple of cars and really reeled in the Ferrari. The Ferrari then pulled out a different strategy. Peterson went on a slightly different strategy, and it's brought them back together at the end of the race. Oh right, so you're on for, you want Peterson to win. You want Horman to win, do you? Because then that gives you the. I don't know the championship implications. I have no idea. So if you'd fill me in on that, that'd be great. I have no idea. I know Peterson's had a fancy spreadsheet going. In fact, what I'm going to do in the background is just load up the tables. Oh shit! 1 minute. I'll just get these cooking. Admin area, championships, server 1. Right, so, right, Gamble, yeah, you're at 82 points. Martin's on 69, Sousa's on 58, Peterson is on 56. And I think it's double points, isn't it? So, yeah, you need Horman to win. Because Horman's not really in the championship. Oh, it's getting excited. You need Horman to stay where he is, don't you? Oh, sorry, you need Horman to get him to deduct some points. But is that enough? Is that going to be enough for you? If Peterson wins, I lose. Right, okay. I don't know what drop rounds and stuff are, though. I mean, I don't know whether that's taken into account drop rounds. I have no idea. Well, you know more than me. Like, I basically haven't raced this. I raced Mount Panorama and that's it. Like, I've had a bit of a chaos sort of few months, mate. So, you know. Yeah. Let's see. We've got 5 minutes to go. Keeping an eye on the lap times. The gap is down to 1.5 seconds. Horman is starting to make a dent. The Aston Martin ahead. I'm waiting for him to come around, start-finish straight, just to see what the what the ending of this one's going to be like as far as lap time goes. I wouldn't expect Peterson's lap time to be that representative because he has only just come out the pit stop. But Peterson's tyres are older than Horman's. Oh, Corrier's causing a yellow flag somewhere. We'll just cut away and have a quick look at that. Is he? No? Or is his yellow flag just done something? No. It's his internet. His internet has been horrific the entire time. There is something going off a bit further down. I'm not going to tear away from this lead gap for too long, but Spitzer, on his brave no tyres strategy, he's actually reeling this guy in. At the rate of about 8 tenths a lap, so this again could cook off, who knows. But right, let's have a look. Lap times then. So last lap 2:03.2 for Peterson, 2:02.5 for Horman. Horman that time round was 7 tenths faster than Peterson. He should be in striking distance by the end of this lap. You can make this on Mount Panorama, right? So you're so you've really had your foot shot off. Okay, well, you know, 3 minutes to go, 1.5 seconds behind. You don't know though. Like, it's one thing catching him, but you know yourself, once you get to sort of within striking distance, it gets harder to follow the car ahead. So whether he's going to be able to do anything or not, I don't know. If you're in chat, come say hi. By the way, we've got Nathan Warren, we've got Skitty, and we've got Gamble in the chat. Watching the final. Gamble's laid up, not racing in this tonight, but he is in contention for a championship win. For Gamble to win it, he needs Horman to overtake Peterson, or I think that hands the championship to, I will tell you, Martin, doesn't it? Or does it? No, it doesn't. It hands it to Peterson, because Peterson then gets like double points and leapfrogs everybody. So Peterson came into this 4th. That's how much weighs on this final race. I think that's how it works. I might be hugely wrong. It's happened before, so I'm not gonna sit here and say so and so's a champion. I don't know. Let's have a look at lap times again. Then Peterson this time around 2030, 2029 for Peterson. 2029 for Peterson, 2030 for Horman. So a slower that time for Horman. The gap being 1.2 seconds. I think he's starting to get affected by the aero of the Aston Martin ahead. 1 minute 44 seconds remaining. I think we might get this and one more out of it. Yeah, we will. So they'll cross the line. Yeah, they should get one more out of this one. So Horman's got a little bit of work to do. The pit window's closed, which we all expected to happen. All the pit stops have been done. All 6 drivers of this pack grid should now be making their way to the end of the race. Spitzer and Correa, by the way, just to keep you updated, 1.4 seconds is the gap. I'm keeping an eye on it live. I think Spitzer's in the same issue that Horman's got, and you see it happen there. Peterson is looking good. The Ferrari's struggling in the dirty air. Glenn Smith's a further 27 seconds further back, but he's safe from Correa by 22 seconds. So Smith's pretty much got P3 wrapped up with a nice little bow for this race, and that's some good points in the bag for Smith. Peterson is looking good for this, though. I think I don't see Horman doing it, and this really for me is a really good strategy call by Peterson, and just some really good racecraft, especially in that early part of the race. I did sort of argue in my head as to whether he was staying behind some of those cars a little bit too long. Could he have been a bit more aggressive? Would it make this last bit of the race a little bit less stressful for him? Alas, he's doing the business so far. So Peterson weaving, just try and break the toe a little bit. Last lap of the race now confirmed. And that was a 2:02.7 for Peterson, 2:02.4 for Horman. So Horman actually that time did go faster. The gap now down to 1 second. But you've got to be honest and say that if this is... It's either got to be a mistake from Peterson or a bit of a Hail Mary from Horman, because there's not a second's worth of pace difference between these two cars at this stage in the race. Peterson really just has to stroke this home now. The Aston Martin, I think, strong enough where it needs to be to hold off the Ferrari. He just needs to make sure he doesn't throw the car off track. You can see leaving rubber down there as he drifts the car into the second Degner. Into the hairpin he goes. This is where you can outbrake yourself quite easily. Horman did that last time round. Nice and tidy this time round. Probably just a little bit of a mistake mid-apex. Horman does have the fastest lap though. Whether that's worth any extra points or not, again, I actually don't know. But Horman does have the fastest lap of 2:01.7. So again, whether that's helping you, Matty, I don't know. But Peterson looks like he's driving for a championship out there. Just a few corners to go now to crown your race winner. Potentially, of course, potentially your race winner. Further back, Spitzer is getting closer to Correa. We'll check in with those in a moment. But for the time being, as we come out of the Casio Triangle for the final time of asking, 43 laps in the books. Mr. Peterson wins the 90 minutes of Suzuki here at ERA in the final race of the season. Well done to him. That was a fantastically orchestrated race. Horman finishes a second further back. and it's a story of what could have been for him and for Matthew Gamble, and I think that just slips the championship out of Gamble's hands. We're going to divert our attention temporarily then, as I can see Spitzer isn't looking to raise a threat to Courier, to Glenn Smith, who has driven a great race, to be fair to him. Nice and consistent race. Nice and consistent race for him, and then it is Courier who is going to hold off Spitzer. So yeah, Courier, driven a really nice race. Yeah, Courier's driven a really nice race. Then we've got Spitzer. With that weird strategy, it gained him a place, so we can't complain too much. And then Mr. Fengler finishing 6th. But all plaudits really has got to go for Peterson for taking the win. And I think the title, the guys in chat will probably confirm this a little bit more confidently than I will, but yeah, I think that might, with Matty Gamble not racing and scoring 0 points for this race, Peterson gets the points, and I don't know how the points work. I don't know. Yeah, I'm actually not sure. So yeah, we'll wait. We'll just have to wait and see the results get confirmed in the ERA Discord. But that was Suzuka. We can go and have a look at. Yeah, we'll go and have a look at Fengler doing some donuts. Why not? Where are you, Fengler? There he is. I'll go and have a look at some donuts then. Oh no, we got spoilt by those. There we go. But well done to your podium drivers then, Peterson, Horman and Glenn Smith. I am going to bring the stream to a halt in a moment. What I will just do, just before I do that actually, let me just move some things around on my screen. Give me just a moment. Yeah, right, here we go. I'll give you this screen so you can see me. Hi, how you doing? Yeah, I'm looking at the admin area. Let me just go back. Give me a sec. So this is what I was looking at. So this is the. These are the points. Right. This is live standings. Peterson gets you by a point. Yep. Peterson gets you by a point, mate. I think looking at these live standings. Again, we've got to wait for results to be officially confirmed, because I'm just looking at a website that does all this on the fly. But yeah, it looks like, give me a second, yeah, the server's ended my end, and it does definitely look like the championship's gone to Peterson there with the win at Suzuka. So well done to you, Peterson. You drove a great race, to be fair, mate. I did question at the start of the race whether you were being a little bit too conservative in your sitting behind some of those cars, but as soon as you got some clear air, you absolutely flew. Horman, we know how good Horman is. Just maybe pipped to the post by Peterson a little bit too much today. But yeah, well, Brian, knew Peterson could do it. I bet some good money on my man. I'm now rich. Well, you could treat him to a beer at least, Brian. You know, buy the man a beer. He's earned it after that. Yeah, not a classic. Only 6 cars, which is a bit of a shame. But look, if you're watching this and you've not driven an ERA before, sign up. I'll throw the Discord link in the description. But you can just, I don't know if it's there on a previous. If you look at previous videos, you'll see it. Yeah, come and join in. It's a really good system now. We've got licenses, we've got all sorts. We've got Winter Championships coming up. Sorry, Endurance Championships coming up. There's other events happening. So if you're into sim racing, if you like ACC, come and join in on ERA. And yeah, just come and get involved. So that's it. Thank you for tuning in. Let me just have a quick look on Discord actually and just see if I can just jump in. I'm just going to throw myself in while we're here. Shall we just jump into the driver's chat? Let's do it. Let's do it while we're here.
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Wall.
Hello, gentlemen. You are live on YouTube. Don't say fuck or bugger. Peterson, well done.
Thank you.
We have crunched the numbers, and we think you have taken the championship by a point.
Yeah,
We think.
I think even by 3 points.
Mate,
The website standings are a bit.
fair enough. Well done, mate. I mean, what a race! Like,
Yeah.
I'm curious about your. I'm always curious about strategy in these 90-minute races because, like, it's the big thing. It's what dictates it. Spitzer, I know you're deafened and that, so you can't hear me. But what were you doing with no tyres? But yeah, just while I've got you all here and you're all live on stream, and we've got a couple of people watching. Christoph, just from you first. Talk to me about your strategy thoughts, mate. What were you thinking going into it? Did it play out how you expected it? And yeah, talk me through that.
Yeah, I started with pretty low fuel, like 70 liters. I think most others probably had more.
No.
And went for like the typical 45 tire change if it was dry, and I had a bit of luck that it was. And yeah, I undercut Hayo, or tried to undercut him at least by pitting like I think 2 laps earlier than I should have. But Hayo's strategy was also on point. I think maybe he struggled 1 or 2 laps, but he would have gotten me if he was a bit quicker, like for 2 laps in a row or something.
Yeah, so I was watching the gaps. I was waiting for you to pit, and he was doing a second a lap faster, and the gap was 40 seconds. An average pit stop takes 37 to 40 seconds. So I was going to say, Christoph, you've got to pit now. You've got to do it now.
I have to thank Christian for that, because he told me you have to go to pits now and defend, because I wanted to pit at like right to the end, because I was afraid of my tires getting graining when they were getting cold in the pits.
You were being willed on. You were being willed on in chat by Brian. A congrats from Skitty. A congrats from Gamble as well, who you just about nudged in the championship there. It says great drive from you. And a few shouts for you as well, Mr. Smith, for your P3 and a nice. To be fair, and I'll be honest, he didn't get much screen time.
Did you at least get my move on Spitzer on the second?
I would have got that. Yeah, that was a nice move actually. That was on there.
That's about all I did really.
Other than that though, you just kept it nice and consistent. I think that gives you P3 in the overall Platinum Championship as well. So a really good season and a really good race from you.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it was uneventful, and that's exactly what you wanted coming into it, I think.
Yeah, it's always easier on Suzuka. It's not got the best grip when it's on optimum, and being green for like 90% of the race, it wasn't the nicest.
Yeah, and you had what was it like with the tyre temps? Because it got to 32 degrees in the end, your track temp. So how were you managing with your tyre temps at the end?
My temps were pretty alright. They were around like 95 was the highest it got.
Right,
but
so okay.
Everything was like mid 80s to 90s, that sort of range, and everything. It all felt nice. Just a little bit of a drop off towards the end of the stints, but that's about it really.
Yeah, nice. Well done, mate. Finally, Mr. Fengler, I'll give the floor to you at the end of the stream, because I know you want to do a little bit of promo in for ERA, which I've already done, by the way, but I'll let you do it as head honcho. Other than that one little spin from you, though, I've got to be honest, like, you were consistent, you were clean, like, it was just a nice, easy race for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, looking back at the whole season, I think that summarises it. I have outdone myself a couple of times on pace. I've surprised myself with a lot of consistency. But it's the minor fuck-ups that I need to get rid of.
Yeah.
Being the main reason, I just finished usually way down and out of the points on a lot of races. Like this being one of them where I got points for basically being here. And the other one being... was it my Panorama? Yeah, it was. Finishing P5, which was really nice. But other than that, yeah.
Yeah, well, plenty to build on next season. And what would you say to anyone that's watching the stream or stumbles upon this and somehow gets to the end of a 2.5 hour stream and thinks, I know what, I'll listen to some German bloke chat for a bit. What would you say to them if they're fancying getting into sim racing? what would you say if they're looking for a new community to join?
Well, obviously, don't look any further. We have throughout the season implemented a lot of things that enable close racing and that are built to enhance drivers no matter their skill level, so to say. We have seen that across the band in different splits. The trainers have done amazing work on a bunch of people. The lessons we provide for free have worked their magic as well. Like, we've seen so many people quickly progress throughout the ranks. And I think once we install the BOP on the license service as well, which will now be after the season, and set a new set of lap times, just for reference, like not everyone needs to do it. Chill.
Thank fuck for that.
Yeah, I think we'll be in a good place just to really bring in new drivers that can then join mid-season and be quite where they need to be pace-wise.
Yeah,
So,
nice. Come and join us at ERA then, basically. So, I mean, it's good to see we get new members like daily, and it's good to see. I think you touched on it. The academy bit is not something every community offers, especially not to the degree we do. As far as we've got some really committed coaches on board. That I know Glenn's one, and he'll sit and analyse replays and give feedback. I know Martin sits and does lessons for people, and the whole aim of that is really to help and get everyone to a good level. So yeah, nice one. Right, well, I'm going to close the stream out here. I'll let the end music credits roll on another season. If you're watching this and you fancy getting involved, come and join us over at ERA. Thanks to everyone who raced this season, and we'll see you on the flip side. Take care of yourselves. Bye.
Bye.
See you.